Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Tuesday comic preview show. We are Infinity Flux Comics. We get the comics early, and we take a break during the day. We read them all, and we give you spoiler-free reviews on the hottest ones. So, Andy, why don't you start us off today?
Yeah, I feel like this week had some surprise big issues, stuff that going into it we didn't quite know
Right.
were going to be a big thing, and then turns out they are a big thing. So I'm going to start out with one of those, which is the DC's Very Merry Multiverse. So DC will do these comics. They do Halloween ones, they do Christmas, they do one about every year. And as you can see, it's a pretty thick book. It is $9.99.
It's like triple sized.
Triple sized, a lot of little stories in it and everything. What is a big deal about this one? It's really good. If you're a big fan of the multiverse, all the different versions of characters, like from Grant Morrison's Multiversity and all that kind of thing, you get all of those there. But the big thing is this is actually the first appearance of the Flash that's going to be in Future State.
Yeah, they're calling him Kid Flash. His identity is being withheld so far.
Yes, so you do get a name in this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and what Earth they are from, which is a pretty interesting one we've seen before, where all the genders are swapped, and so you have Robin, who's actually Talia al Ghul. And I forgot, Superboy is Laurel Kent, something like that. But yeah, so this mysterious new Flash that we've seen that's going to be in Future State Justice League makes their first debut here and is pretty prominent. I'd say there's maybe 2-3 characters that are prominent in this story. It's just one of the many stories that's in it. But I'd say it's definitely the standout story. You can tell this one they kind of meant to be the one you focus on a little bit more. So if you are someone who gets all the first appearances, this was a surprise that this is actually the first appearance of a Future State character. And I'm guessing they'll be quite a bit older, when that Justice League comes out. Young adult or whatever. So, yeah, I thought this was really good. There's other stories with Gotham by Gaslight Batman, like from the Mignola era. There is a President Superman story.
Superman as the president?
Yes. Cool. Yeah, and then there is a Batman Beyond story. So
I'd hate to have to try to impeach Superman.
No one wants to. They love him. They want him to keep going. So yes, this is really good. It's a really fun read, but also you get that surprise first appearance of the new Flash that I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot more of. It seems like these Future State characters are actually going to be around longer than just their 2 months.
Flash likes to add to their family. Usually when they add a member to the Flash family, they come back.
Yes.
So, I mean, they haven't even forgot, like, the original Flash.
Yeah, Max Mercury, Jay Garrick.
Yeah, it gets pulled into everything, it seems like. All right, so I think one of the biggest ones I read this week is Crossover number 2. This, of course, is by Donny Cates and Jeff Shaw, the original team who did God Country. So number 1 was a very big beginning, a very big opening.
Big promises.
Yes, it was a big wink to, okay, well, what sort of crossover is this going to be? It seems like you're bringing in a lot of different superheroes. In fact, without spoiling for anybody who hasn't read number 1, you hint that there's a superhero, a major one, from DC Comics who might be in this. Okay, so let me tell you about number 2 without ruining it all. But let me ask a question first. Is Donny Cates really doing a crossover between Marvel, DC, Image, and any other comic he wants to draw from? I'll answer that question by saying, yes, he is. However, he's doing it in a way where you can tell he's talked to a lot of lawyers. Meaning, if you squint hard enough, if you pay attention to certain details, there are all kinds of heroes in this book.
Wow.
There are major, major heroes in it. You're just not going to see them like, hi, I'm Batman and I'm here. You're going to see something and you're going to go, I think that's Batman over there.
Huh.
I think that's Wonder Woman over there. And I think the whole book is a lot of fun because it lets us comic readers, people who love comics, sit there. I mean, the whole time I'm like, there's that person, there's that person. And I can't tell you the context, I can't tell you why this happens, but he really is having the characters in there. Now, you might say, well, that's a nice trick, but how involved are they? And what I will say is, there's at least one character, or at least one hero from the sidelines who is doing some major stuff, but it hasn't been revealed who. I'm already going through my head, like, who could it be? But it's, will they ever say it? I don't know. But it was a really good, fun read for people who love comics. The story is really big. Our main heroes, they're not together yet. I think they're both our main heroes. One definitely is. By the end of this issue, they both have their kind of quests laid out for them. And they're pretty interesting quests. So crossover number 2, I think it's really good. As far as the pacing of it, I would say it's a very medium pace. It's not breakneck speed. There's no like battles every 10 seconds. There's a lot of character development and what's going on, but it's also not super slow. I mean, I've already told you some of the things I saw. I mean, wait till you see the first page. The first page has some stuff written on it. Right away, I had to turn to Andy and be like, "Oh my God, they said this right on the first page." Yeah. I don't think I can say more without spoiling it. So, crossover number 2, very cool book. It has a blank variant where you can get your favorite artist or even yourself. Just grab one, draw on it yourself.
And you can draw any character, and it's in continuity to the book.
It might be in here somewhere. So yeah, become a part of the crossover. And we're also selling here at Infinity Flux, for anybody who's local or who has a pull box with us across the nation. We have the 1 in 10 Jeff Shaw variants for just $10. It is the A cover, just the virgin version of it without any trade dress.
That's cool, and I haven't read it, but I know from the solicitation there is a cover by McFarlane that has Spawn with like the main character
issue number
on it.
3.
Issue number 3.
It's been leaked, yeah.
So it's kind of like, at least on the cover, there is some crossover.
Let's just say there was already a little bit of Spawn in issue number 2, and that's all I can say.
Someone's wrapped up in chains or something. Or...
Pick it up, check it out.
Okay.
It's cool what he's doing.
Okay, next I will talk about Batman Black and White. I actually think this is like volume maybe 4 of Batman Black and White, but it is a...
That's because it's red all over.
Oh. So this is a anthology-like series, much like the Merry Multiverse. It has a bunch of short stories in it by some of the biggest creators working in comics. So the first story you have like James Tynion working with Tradd Moore. You have a J.H. Williams III story. You have Paul Dini working with Andy Kubert on a story. And they are like kind of out of continuity stories, all in black and white. But they are so solid in encompassing the spirit of Batman. If you look online, the reviews of this are outstanding because people are like, this is a love letter to why these creators love the character of Batman and them telling their own versions of those stories. So you have some, like Tradd Moore's, of course, where they're fighting ninjas, and it's just all over the place. But then you have a story by Emma Rios, who does a more mythological tale of Batman that kind of is a little abstract, a little dreamy, but also another kind of interpretation of Batman. So it's, I believe it's maybe 6 issues long. Each issue is going to have different creators in it. Already know the next one has Tom King and Mitch Gerads doing a story. So really, really fun. If you're
Mr. Miracle Team.
Yes, if you're a big Batman fan, you'll definitely want to check this out because it's like watching episodes of the animated series or something. It's fun, one and dones, but really solid storytelling by really big names. And it has a few variant covers by other big names like Blank. That seems to do a variant cover for everything. No, so we got the Blank sketch cover. And then we have the Peach Momoko cover, who is about to go exclusive with Marvel. So get the Peach while it's available, because soon it'll only grow at one orchard. And then we have the super cool Batman one. So, yep, that is Batman Black and White.
You're talking about Batman mythological stories. I like that. I've read some. I like the ones where it's like there's always a Batman.
Yeah.
You know, this bat creature represents this. And,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I love just different interpretations of Batman. Anyways, he lends himself so well to stuff like Gotham by Gaslight or the Vampire Blood Rain or any of those. It's very versatile.
As much as Batman's become a big thing in our society, it almost feels like it has to be that way. Because if you went to, you know, a multiverse and it's our world, but no one's ever heard of Batman, you tried to explain it, you would sound like a madman. You'd be like, this character's so important.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So it almost feels like in our world that makes some sense. So I'm going to continue on with the Donny Cates trajectory. I saw the Donny Cates stuff. So this is Venom number 31 that is releasing tomorrow. And I read it, so I'm not going to do any King in Black spoilers since that just started last week. King in Black number 1 was awesome, though. I'll tell you that. It ends with Eddie Brock falling. That's all I can say. That doesn't spoil much. Well, this issue, he's still falling, and you get to hear what's going on in his head. You get to hear what's going on in the symbiote's head. You know, throughout Venom, the symbiote gets to kind of do his own thinking and his own talking at points, but not too often. And I feel like they're getting more into that as things are getting more intense with what Knull wants to do with all the symbiotes. So in this issue, you get Brock's thoughts, you get the symbiotes' thoughts a little bit. Not exactly thoughts, but you'll see. But at the same time, what is going on with Dylan Brock? Is he really safe? Eddie put him somewhere safe, but how safe is he? Knull seems to kind of care about what's going on with him as well. So it's a good issue. I mean, King in Black number 1, if you've read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, my thoughts on it are it leaves you really wanting to see what's about to happen. This doesn't completely answer that. This is more of like a pause in time. Now let's show you what's going on around it and maybe some other things that add layers of depth. But you'll have to read, and I will too, King in Black number 2 to really see what happens after this. So good issue of Venom, but on the tail of King in Black, it you know, just not as super fast paced as that was. So
hopefully through the entire series, he's just falling. Through like 6 issues, he's falling. In the end, you learn he was falling down an up escalator, and it just kept going.
I don't know. The end of this one doesn't seem to indicate it's going to go that way. So we also have this variant available. And there's another variant, but I'm going to get to it a little bit. I'm going to show off all the Knullified stuff in a little while.
Okay, so another one that was kind of a surprise, not first appearance, but you have a lot of websites talking about it as it being a pretty big deal. This is Dark Knight's Death Metal, The Last Stories of the DC Universe. And it's going to be a little hard to talk about this without spoiling what happens. But in general, it's like the other 2 books I've already talked about, which is crazy. DC's, all their books this week are little anthology stories. This follows kind of the night before the war against the Batman Who Laughs, or now the Darkest Night, and Perpetua, the big final battle in the DC universe. This is the calm before the storm, and you have different stories about what some of your heroes are doing right before this happens. How do they kind of prepare themselves? Very Lord of the Rings, like before Helm's Deep, the battle, you have like everyone kind of just breathing heavy and armor, you know, chinkling and everything. You have this like really odd silence. But with that, you get stories of Aquaman, and he's like, I got one more thing I need to do. You have stories of Superman being like, I think we're going to pull through this. I think we're going to survive. And because of that, that means I can't stop doing my job. So there's a guy about to jump off a building. I've got to go save him. There's, you know, all these things that need to be done. But kind of the whole time talking to himself being like, I really hope we make it out of this, you know. But there is a big story in it. The art's by Mirka Andolfo, which I thought was really cool, about the Bat family. It's a very emotional story of Batman basically rounding up all his kids and being like, "This is the last time I get to tell you, you did good. This is, I don't know if we'll make it out of this, but I'm so proud of you. This is what I trained you for." So that part's really emotional. But then you have some other characters make, I don't know how you say this. Uh, let's just say there is a impromptu wedding, without spoiling anything, of characters that it's been a long time coming. Now, will it stay? This is the night before everyone's pretty much going to get decimated, and we don't really know when Future State comes in what the status quo will be for a lot of these characters, but it's a big deal because whether it stays or not, you get clarification that these characters knew that they were always meant to be together. Like all the speculating about, well, I think this character should actually be over here with this one. You basically get them being like, yeah, I think this is what was meant to be. So it's heartwarming, but also kind of a big deal and a big character development. So I really enjoyed this because I like the little stories. I like the kind of personal stories of each of these characters. So yeah, that is Dark Knight's Death Metal, the last stories of the DC universe, and I believe it is $8.99. It's kind of a deluxe size one as well, and it has one variant. We only got one copy of this variant. It's a 1 in 25. I believe it's Gary Frank. Right? And it is, I believe it connects with a couple more that are coming out, but you get basically all the heroes all over it, and that is only $25. Really cool variants. So, yep.
Yeah, I remember reading the solicitation for that issue, and them talking about, what will the heroes do and what will they be thinking and all, going into not just a battle, but where a lot of them think it could be the final battle. So I think that's cool.
I like you're getting the weight of Death Metal. Actually feels really weighty. Yeah. It really does feel like that final act in a big story. So, let's see.
Okay, so also from DC, Tales from the Dark Multiverse Flashpoint. This is a one-shot, and all the Tales from the Dark Multiverse are always showing sort of twisted things that could have been. Mm-hmm. And this one, of course, takes us back to Flashpoint. Flash is trying to regain his powers. It doesn't go so hot. And instead, Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, ends up in his world. And let's just say there's no Flash in it anymore to stop him.
No.
Yes, so Reverse Flash left alone in a world without any other speedsters to really stop him. And it just shows what he does, what his whims are. Let's just say no one is very good at stopping him, so you get to see what would this madman do with all this power? What would he take over? What would he declare as his? How would he run this? How would he run that? What would the remaining heroes do to try to stop him? It's pretty dire and it's pretty grim, and they take it right to the end where there's a really awesome force set up to stop him, but at the same time, he's a very smart villain. Mm-hmm. And I won't reveal what happens, but let's just say it's a pretty even scaled battle at the end. And what happened, I didn't predict what happened. It was not something I would have predicted.
I thought that was cool. I saw you flipping through it, and I saw some of the pages. And it took me back to when I was reading Flashpoint, seeing the skinny Superman who'd been like in a lab for a long time, Wonder Woman in her like military gear. I was like, oh yeah, I like this story. This is cool to see it revisited.
And Eobard Thawne has not been to that world before, so he's learning this, which will prompt anyone who hasn't read all that as to what he's seeing. Like for instance, he thinks that Thomas Wayne is Bruce Wayne until he figures it out, and he's like, oh wait. You're not Bruce, and he kind of starts, gain his footing with what's going on with the different heroes in the world. So very cool one shot. It just has the one cover. So and that is available today. DC comes out on Tuesdays.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I hope Canterbury Cricket's in it. He's my favorite character that never got to do anything outside of just a giant cricket man. Okay, so let's see if I can grab the right one. Yes. So I actually did read a Marvel book today. This is Sword. It's really not hard not to call it Sword of X because in the O is a big X.
And we've been saying it Sword of X.
Yeah, we've been saying it so much. It just if you start with Sword, it's got to end with X. So this is a follow up to the big event that just happened with Sword of X or X of Swords or whatever you want to call it. That whole storyline. If you read it, you know a little bit about what Sword is. They kind of reintroduced the idea of Sword as an organization right at the end, which is it's hard not to just sum it up as X-Men in space.
Star Trek meets X-Men, but they stay around Earth.
Yeah, so they have this big ship, and they're basically the line of defense, everything for space. They do the space research and everything, and it's led by Abigail Brand, who you see on the cover and everything has green hair. She's been in the X universe for a long time, but she doesn't necessarily. She's working with the X-Men, but she's like, I'm not really part of Krakoa. And they're all like, yes, you are. If you're a mutant, you are. And she's like, I'm working with you, but we're not really on the same page. So that brought in an interesting element of where they, maybe not every mutant is like really down with this idea of just automatically getting absorbed into this group. But I would say I think it's a bigger issue from feeling and reading it. It's maybe double size or like maybe 1.5 size bigger. The first 3/4 of it are very introduction. Because I believe there's some new characters. I'm not 100%
I was about to ask
positive.
some of the people on the team.
Yeah, like WizKid I know is on there. I don't know if we've seen him or I don't know if he's claimed that name. Because Magneto kind of makes a remark about it. And he's like, I thought it was a good name. So it feels like that may be the first time we're seeing that character. There's a few. It is still very much in the way Hickman's X-Men has been going with, you have a few pages that are actually just like text. And they kind of explain some stuff. Or they've got some graphs. So it is a little wordy in the beginning. I'll say that, as it kind of should be, because there are a lot of new characters and new concepts. They're really introducing a lot of stuff here. But I will say, after the 3/4 mark, there's something that happens. There is a mission, like kind of almost a very Star Trek-y mission. I guess the best way to describe it, I was thinking about this earlier. The movie Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey.
Right.
There's a very X-Men version of that, which suddenly I was like, this is really cool. This is a very just super not multiversal, but just like that intense, like, whoa, we're going into the unknown that I thought was super, super cool. So for all that build up, we get that scene. I was like, okay, this is what sold me on this book, was this moment of them doing something. I'm like, what are they doing with this? Where is this book going? And I didn't even realize it at first who wrote it, and then found out it's Al Ewing, who, I mean, right now feels like can do no wrong. Everything he writes is just awesome. Which is also funny because we only find them when they're dead. You get a little bit of that in this. You get a little bit of that, like, weird space, which I think he does so well. Even with Hulk, he kind of gets into like the unknowns with the green door and everything. If you're wondering about this, it's very much in that sense of like we are really exploring the unknown. So I wasn't sure at first, and I really liked this at the end. I think it's a little hard sell because not a lot of people know about Sword. The Sword has been around for a while as this kind of like partner with S.H.I.E.L.D. on Earth and their Sword. But I really enjoyed it, and I think if you read it all the way to the end, I think you'll have a lot of people picking this up.
Yeah, and even though Sword's been around a while, there was a Sword series, but I think it was like just a little 6-issue series. So
yeah, and Abigail Brand's been around for a while. You've got Magneto in this pretty much through the entire thing, doing some commentating. And we got some variants on it. So this is the Jen Bartel variant. Then we have the Emanuela Lupacchio variant. And then we have the beautiful Terry Dodson variant. So yeah, you've got Cable on the team too, they each kind of have their crew job. So he's like head of security or something like that. So it's pretty cool.
Is it young Cable?
It's young
That's
Cable.
What I thought. Yeah. They've delved a lot more into young Cable in the last while. So also from Marvel this week is King in Black Namor #1. So this is a 3-part miniseries that they claim will somehow link in with King in Black. I read this, and so right off the bat, here's what I will tell you. This does not link in heavily with King in Black, at least not the first issue. This is set back in the past. Namor is young in it, and basically there's some text at the beginning that lets you know, hey, there's going to be something King in Black at some point. Well, in the issue, which is a pretty fun issue, Namor is underwater and he's younger. He runs into this sort of super powered underwater team that he really respects, that like really blows him away. Like, wow, these guys are awesome. And it seems like by the end he's going to kind of follow them, or he might join with them. But at the end, it kind of says, stay tuned for next issue where there might be some King in Black stuff. So not bad. If you want to catch everything King in Black, you might want to pick it up. I just don't want anybody picking it up being like, okay, where's Knull?
Yeah.
He's not in the issue. It seems like it's going to have more to do with something he has planted in the earth, possibly years and years back, but just on the first issue, I can't tell. So this is a 3-part series, and it has a variant cover that you can see right here. See some of the members of that team I was telling you about. One of them's particularly big. His name is Mountain. I would say for sure that some of these are first appearances, if not all of them. It kind of gives name and what they're good at. But at the same time...
Does it all say swimming?
Yeah. So that is Namor King in Black.
Okay, and lastly for me, just not really a review because this came out a little while ago, but if you know the story, it was underprinted. So this is Tmnt The Last Ronin, and this is the second printing. So first printing was underprinted. Every store got shorted their number of copies, only ended up with a few, so very few of the first made it to any shelves anywhere. But if you really want to read it, we have the second printing, and I definitely suggest reading it because this was a just gangbuster hit.
Yep.
It's a great read. Issue 2's not out yet, so you still have time to catch up.
Yep.
Pick up issue 1. Really, really cool.
Read it and find out who the last turtle is and who else is still around.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm really excited for issue 2, and I think it's really cool that they managed to get out another printing. So there's no excuse when issue 2 comes out, you can be caught up on this series.
So I think the last thing we're going to show off today is Marvel is doing a series of Knullified covers. So I have all of them to show off. This is Guardians of the Galaxy, the Knullified cover. You can tell artists had a lot of fun with this. This might be my favorite one this week. Conan Knullified.
I hope that turns into a story. It's so cool.
I mean, they, mixing him and Venom in Savage Sword has just gone really well. Here is Captain Marvel Knullified. This one just scares me.
The more you stare at it, the more uncomfortable it gets. Like, why is her arms like split?
I don't know. Her arms are like the chicken legs from Baba Yaga's hut. It's creepy, and just the pants are really creepy too.
Creepy pants.
Yes. Here is Avengers.
I love this one.
Nullified version.
Black Panther being nullified.
Yeah. His tails are going to get you. And lastly, we have... Or no, there's 2 more. Amazing Spider-Man Nullified.
It's like getting ready to play what was that arcade football game? The NFL Blitz. He's got his spiky shoulder pads. He's getting ready to run somebody over.
And lastly, here is Venom number 31, the Knullified variant.
And do we know, is that Human Torch nullified on it?
Um,
Or just someone unfortunately caught on fire?
I couldn't say for sure. It looks like a spider outfit.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not altogether sure what character that is. We'll have to study that further. All right, so those are definitely not all the comics out this week. There are more. On this show, we just sort of picked the hottest ones to talk about, and those are the ones we chose to do. We only have so long to read them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, these literally, we pick them up in the morning, get them all ready for our customers, and then finally take a breath, read them, you know, with some food, and then we put the show on. So hope you have enjoyed it. I hope this has been informative. If you're local, come on out and see us. If you're not and you'd like to open a pull box, we ship all across the country. Just contact us. I'll throw up the order details here in a minute.
Yes.
So, all right, well, thank you. This is Jason and Andy from Infinity Flux signing off. We'll be doing another show on Friday where we go over the Final Order Cutoff comics. It's all the comics that it's the last chance to order them before comic stores orders are put in and solidly where we can't change it. So you can order as many as you want. It's usually the first time you get to see some of the covers.
Yep.
We put them all together. We'll have all the covers on the screen and all that. So maybe we'll see you on Friday. Have a great rest of your day.